Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how you can use CSS3 to add effects and transitions to the content on your page. So here we've got a navigation menu, and at the moment we just set the default rollover effect so that the colours invert and change, so it goes to a light grey with dark text as you roll over. But we can really jazz this up and make it quite fancy using CSS3 transition properties. So to do that you need to go to the window menu here in Dreamweaver, go to Css Transitions and open up the panel window. Click on the little plus symbol to add a transition. The rule that we want to target is the actual links themselves, which are inside the unordered list. So that would be #navigation UL ally A. Now you can use these transitions, these CSS3 effects, on any content on your page. So it could be images, it could be text, it could be anything that you want to have a transition effect on. It's just that we're doing it here for a navigation menu. So I'm going to choose that. Now I want the transition or the effect to occur on the hover state. So as people put their mouse over, I want the duration to be about 0.5 seconds. That's how long does it take for the transition to operate over. I don't want there to be any delay, so I want it to happen instantly as soon as people do the transition. And the timing function is going to set that to linear, but that is that the transition happens equally from start to finish. Whereas if you chose ease in, it would be slow to start with, then speed up towards the end of the 0.5 seconds that it takes to do the transition. Ease out would mean it would start fast and then slow up towards the end of the 0.5. Linear is just a normal default one to go for. Now the two properties that I want to affect is the background color of the button and the text color. So I want them to transition, the background color and the text color. So I need to go here to add a property, background color, and I want it to end up being a lighter grey, because that's what we set. So 333, sorry, that's going to be CCC for the lighter grey. And then the text color is just known as color in CSS, and I need to come here and just make sure that that one is set to CCC. Sorry, that one is going to be 333. There we go. So that goes to the dark color, so it's the opposite to what it is at the moment. Okay, and press enter, create the transition, and then as we put our mouse over here, you'll see now you get this kind of fade effect, and as I glide through you can see the effect that is created on these navigation buttons. If you want to come in and change it, you can do by just double clicking. You can increase the timing, you can change the colors, add more properties, that kind of thing. If we go to code view and just have a quick look at the CSS style sheet that we're writing our rules onto, you'll see that it's added 3 new rules into our CSS style sheet. That's these transition properties. Now it's done a WebKit transition and an O transition. These are prefixes to work with other browsers. Transition should work in Internet Explorer, WebKit is for Safari and Google Chrome, and the O one is for the Opera browser. Okay, let's just go back to live. I can go back in and add some more transitions as well. So one thing that I like to do is increase the padding at the bottom of the buttons. So I'm going to add another property here, which is going to be padding bottom, and I want that to say, for example, grow by 20 pixels. So what it means, it will add a 20 pixel space at the bottom, between the bottom of the text and the bottom of the button, so the button will look taller. So let's do save, and this will all happen on the hover state. So what happens is the button grows as 20 pixels more of padding is added to the bottom. Now at the moment this doesn't look so good because it looks like the whole of the menu is just growing with us. Now the only way to work with this is to go back to your navigation div itself, so the div that's contained in the whole of the navigation menu. Go to the background color and just tell it that you don't want there to be any color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel by clicking this trash can to remove that CSS property. So I don't have the navigation div colored the same as the unordered list. Now let's just preview in Safari and see how it looks here. Now you'll see our lovely transition effect, but you'll also see it looks like the button grows and pops down. Now we do have another problem, is that as this button grows, these other divs move up and down. Now at the moment they're not too annoying, but if they were full of content, that would look really annoying as content moved up and down on the page. It would be really confusing. So what we need to do is to take our navigation div, and we just need to fix this div so that its height is equal to the height that the button comes down to. So that's a bit of a trial and error thing, but we'll come to navigation and we're going to set it to have a min height. We'll set it to be pixels, and we'll try 40 pixels to start with, and we'll have a look. So when we put our mouse down, no, that still comes down a little bit, and what you'll see is just down here this jumps down just a touch. So let's try 44 and see what that does. Okay, so now it comes down perfectly and there's no movement of these over here when we roll over the buttons. They don't move anymore. So it's just changing the minimum height of the actual navigation div itself. Okay, another CSS free property I'm going to add in is border radius. When these buttons come down, I want to round off the bottom corners here. Now, unfortunately, in the CSS Transitions panel dialog box, when you go to add a property, there is no border radius property available here at the moment in Dreamweaver. So what you have to do is do this one manually on your style sheet in code view. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in here and I'm just going to add in border and then dash radius. So it's going to pick it up for me, so I can just press return and select what I want. Now the border radius, I want it to be 0px, 0px, and we will go for 20px and 20px. Now the 0px here relates to this top corner, the next 0px relates to this top corner, and then down here and down here, so that's the 20s down the bottom here. So what I'm saying is that on these top two, I don't want it to curve at all, I want it to stay nice and straight. But down here on these bottom two, I want it to round off both these edges by 20 pixels. So let's have a look and see if that actually works. In fact, I've added that in the wrong place. So I'm just going to cut that off. It shouldn't be here, it should be on the hover state. So I'm going to put it down here. Now the reason we've got two different hovers, these are both exactly the same, we've just got two of them, is because when you create CSS transitions, it replicates your hover state again. So I'm just going to come down here and paste in that border radius. I want the border radius to happen on the hover state. When I had it typed in here, it meant that it would happen to the buttons as they were idle, as if you hadn't hovered over them, it would have rounded off the corners. I only want it to happen, the rounding, under the hover state. So let's go to live view, let's save and preview in Safari, and let's have a look and see what this looks like now. So as we put our mouse over, you can see it just rounds off those two bottom corners, and that's a nice sort of tab effect that we've got going on there. And we've still got the color transitions, the text transitions, and we've got the padding bottom, all those kind of things. So there's some really great effects that you can create using CSS free transitions. And the transitions panel window that we have in Dreamweaver, let's just open it up again, there it is, allows you to add some of these transition effects. Some of them you have to know yourself, like the border radius for example, and go in and apply that. On our home page for Dreamweaver, where our videos are located, we have links that go off to a CSS free generator if you want to learn more about CSS free transitions and effects that you can apply.